It's late. The kind of late where silence rings louder than noise. You're sitting alone, again, after another argument that left you numb. The person who once said they'd never hurt you is now sleeping peacefully in the next room, while your heart feels shattered. You could walk away. You've thought about it, maybe even packed a bag once or twice. But something stops you. Not fear of harm, but something deeper. Something invisible. Why do we stay in relationships that slowly drain us? Why does the same love that soothes also scar? People on the outside often judge. If it's that bad, just leave. But what they don't see is the emotional web, woven with hope, history, fear, and memory, that keeps us entangled. Because toxic love doesn't always look like violence. Often it looks like confusion. One minute, you're wrapped in warmth and affection. The next, you're invisible, gaslit, or blamed. It's not just about manipulation. It's about how deeply love and identity can become intertwined, until walking away feels like tearing your own soul in half. This video isn't here to condemn your choices or your loyalty. It's here to explore the unseen forces behind them. Let's pull back the curtain on the psychology that makes toxic love feel inescapable, and discover how, even in the darkest patterns, freedom is still possible. The human need to attach, how we're wired for connection. At the heart of it all is a truth about being human. We are wired to bond. From birth, our survival depends on connection. Love to us is not just desire, it's safety. It's how we orient ourselves in the world. As children, we learn what love looks and feels like from our earliest caregivers. If that love was consistent and nurturing, we grow into adults who believe in secure, mutual relationships. But if that love was unpredictable, warm one day, cold the next, our minds form a dangerous blueprint. That love is something to be earned, something unstable and often painful. And so, as adults, when we meet someone who mirrors that unpredictability, who pulls us close one moment and pushes us away the next, we don't necessarily run. We recognize it, and sometimes, recognition feels like home. That's where the confusion begins, because your brain can know something is harmful, while your heart keeps chasing the resolution of a wound left open in childhood. You don't just love the person in front of you, you love the possibility of rewriting the past through them. Somewhere deep down, you whisper, maybe this time it will be different. Maybe this time, I will be enough. But that's the trap. Why idealizing hurts more than it heals. Many toxic relationships don't start with pain. They start with intensity, passion, affection so overwhelming it feels like destiny. These early stages often feel magical, and maybe they were. But magic can also be an illusion. Abusers, whether intentional or not, often shower their partners with admiration and promises in the beginning. It's called love bombing. But once they feel secure, their true patterns emerge. Criticism replaces compliments. Distance replaces intimacy. And you, the one who tasted heaven, are now trying to survive the descent into emotional chaos. You hold on, not to what the relationship is, but to what it was, or what it could be again. The good moments weren't fake, you tell yourself. They were just glimpses of who they really are. The rest? A rough patch. Something you can fix. If only you try harder, love more, sacrifice deeper. But as you lose yourself trying to resurrect the version of them you first met, you begin to disappear. Your world shrinks. Your joy dims. And yet, you stay. Why? Shame and silence, the hidden chains. What no one tells you is that shame is one of the most powerful tools in a toxic relationship. You start to believe that walking away would make you a failure, that leaving means you were wrong all along, that the pain is your fault. So you smile at gatherings, post photos with hearts and captions, and you tell yourself, it's not that bad. Everyone struggles. This isn't weakness. It's your brain trying to protect you from collapse. By minimizing the damage, you create a space where you can survive, day by day, even as you bleed inside. You want to believe the good version will come back. You want to believe the problem is fixable. But here's the truth that so many carry in silence. Even when love becomes toxic, the longing for love remains. And that longing can keep you trapped longer than any locked door ever could. The psychological web. How manipulation keeps you chained. Being inside a toxic relationship doesn't always feel toxic at first. It often feels like confusion. One moment, you're cherished. The next, you're invisible. Then, suddenly, you're the villain. It's like living inside a shifting mirror. Nothing ever reflects quite right, and you're left wondering whether the problem is the glass or you. This is not love. This is psychological manipulation. And the scariest part? You may not even realize it's happening until it's already rewired the way you see reality. Let's unravel how that happens. Gaslighting. Undermining your inner truth. Gaslighting isn't just lying. It's systematic erosion of your self-trust. It starts with a disagreement, something you know happened. You bring it up, not to argue, but to understand. But instead of resolution, you're met with cold confusion. I never said that. You're imagining things. Wow, you're so dramatic. You walk away questioning your own memory, your feelings, your instincts. Was it really that bad? Did you overreact? Over time, these doubts pile up like fog until you can't see clearly anymore, not even inside your own mind. And then something far more dangerous occurs. You begin to trust their version of reality more than your own. Gaslighting isn't about disagreement. It's about control. The goal is to make you so uncertain of your own perceptions that you defer to theirs. That way, they become your source of truth, your only mirror. Once that's achieved, you're no longer just hurt. You're psychologically dependent, projection and blame shifting, making you the villain. Another tactic abusers use is projection, displacing their own guilt onto you. If they're cheating, you'll be accused of flirting. If they're irresponsible, suddenly you're the one who's lazy or useless. And because you're already doubting yourself, you fall into the trap of defending. I'm not doing that. Why would you think that? But while you're explaining, pleading, clarifying, they're deflecting. They're dodging accountability by turning your focus inward. Sometimes it goes even further. If you finally stand up for yourself, they claim you are the abuser. This tactic has a name: DARVO, deny, attack, reverse victim, and offender. Suddenly, the person who inflicted pain on you is crying victim, and you're apologizing for the damage they caused. It's not just unfair. It's mentally destabilizing. This is how they maintain power, by making you believe you're the broken one. Love bombing and intermittent reinforcement, the addictive cycle. Not every manipulation feels bad. Some feel euphoric, at first. Love bombing is a psychological ambush disguised as romance. Early on, you may have heard things like, "I've never felt this way before. I knew from the moment I saw you." Maybe they surprised you with spontaneous gifts, deep eye contact, and poetic devotion. You weren't just loved, you were idolized. It felt divine, and in that feeling, your brain got its first hit of emotional ecstasy. But once you were hooked, the supply changed. Suddenly, affection became unpredictable. The same person who once praised your soul now withholds even basic kindness. You never know when warmth will come, or if it ever will. And so, you wait. You tolerate more and more, because somewhere inside, you're chasing that first high. This is intermittent reinforcement, one of the strongest conditioning patterns in behavioral psychology. It's the same principle behind slot machines. Inconsistency breeds obsession. And so, even as the bad outweighs the good, even as your spirit erodes, you stay, hoping for the moment they'll turn kind again. And sometimes they do. They apologize. They touch you gently. And it feels euphoric. Not because it's real love, but because you've been starving for it. A single drop of tenderness feels like an ocean. This is not love. It's trauma bonding. A psychological attachment built on emotional volatility. And it's why leaving can feel not just difficult, but impossible. The other weapons: isolation, jealousy, and fear. Toxic partners rarely rely on one tactic. They build an entire system of control. They start by isolating you, casually planting seeds like, "Your friends don't really get you like I do. Your family's so judgmental. Why do you even talk to them?" At first it sounds like concern, but over time your world shrinks. Your lifelines are cut, your support system replaced by one person, and they become your only source of validation. They may also control money, monitor your phone, or blow up with jealousy, wrapping it in sweet lines like, "I just love you so much I can't lose you." But it's not love, it's ownership. And sometimes, the control escalates into threats. "If you leave, I'll hurt myself. I'll take the kids. No one will ever love you like I do." Some threats aren't physical, they're emotional. They convince you that if you walk away, you'll be alone forever, that no one else will want you, that you're too broken, too dramatic, too hard to love. And after hearing that long enough, you start to believe it. That fear of loneliness becomes your prison, and the person who isolated you becomes the only one who can soothe your isolation. It's a closed circuit, a feedback loop of pain and temporary relief. The cruelest irony: loyalty to the one who hurts you. Over time, something strange may happen. You start defending them, to your friends, to your family, to yourself. You tell yourself they had a hard childhood, that they're just misunderstood, that their love is real, just buried beneath trauma. You think, "If I love them enough, I can fix this. I can fix them." But here's what you need to hear. You are not their therapist. You are not their savior. And your love is not meant to be a sacrifice. This isn't kindness, it's trauma loyalty. A survival response where hostages form emotional bonds with their captors. And that's not just metaphor. It's known as Stockholm Syndrome. Even in the most abusive dynamics, the victim can feel fiercely protective of the person who harms them. Why? Because they're not just your source of pain. They've become your only hope for relief from that pain. That's what makes it so hard to leave. But there is a way out. This psychological maze is powerful, but it's not inescapable. And the key isn't in fighting harder. It's in seeing clearly. Once you understand the patterns, the manipulation, the trauma bonds, the conditioning, you gain back something you thought you lost. Choice. Not easy choice, not painless choice, but real choice. The truth is, you don't have to stay. You are not broken. And most importantly, you are not alone. In the next part of this journey, we'll talk about how to reclaim your identity, break the emotional chains, and walk, one difficult but liberating step at a time, into your freedom. Stay with us. Breaking free, reclaiming the self after toxic love. Recognizing that you're in a toxic relationship doesn't feel like a victory at first. It feels like grief, like the shattering of a hope you clung to, even as it was cutting you. But let me tell you something you might not have heard enough. This recognition is power. You're no longer sleepwalking through the pain. You've opened your eyes. And even if they're filled with tears, you're finally seeing. So now the question becomes, what do you do with this awareness? Let's walk through the steps of reclaiming your identity, not with empty platitudes, but with real, grounded practices for healing. 1. Break the silence. Shame cannot survive the light. Toxic relationships thrive in the dark, hidden behind closed doors, within private messages, in moments we never speak of. But secrecy is the soil in which abuse grows. The moment you speak out, to a friend, a therapist, a hotline, even to a blank journal page, you begin reclaiming power. You tell shame, "You don't own me anymore." No, not everyone will understand, but some will. And those few can carry you through moments when you no longer feel you can carry yourself. You are not meant to heal in isolation. Find voices that remind you of your worth, even when you forget it. 2. Name the abuse. Truth is the first step toward freedom. You've spent so long minimizing, explaining away, rationalizing. They're just stressed. I'm overreacting. Everyone fights sometimes. No more. Start learning about the patterns: gaslighting, intermittent reinforcement, trauma bonds, narcissistic manipulation. The more you learn, the clearer the fog becomes. You'll stop asking, "What's wrong with me?" and start asking, "Why was this okay?" Try this. Write down the moments that hurt, the ones you brushed off at the time. Read them back to yourself like they were written by a stranger. Would you tell them to stay? Would you say they deserved it? Naming it doesn't make you weak. It makes you free. 3. Build a safety plan. Because you deserve to be safe. If there's even a hint of physical danger or severe emotional abuse, your safety isn't a luxury. It's essential. You may need to plan quietly. Pack a bag. Save some money. Arrange a safe place. Avoid confrontation. Don't announce you're leaving if there's risk. Just go. Trust your gut. Protect your digital footprint. You are not being paranoid. You are being prepared. And if you're unsure where to begin, organizations exist to walk you through it. You're not alone, even in your quietest fear. 4. Prepare for withdrawal. Emotional detox hurts, but it heals. Leaving a toxic relationship is like quitting an addiction. There will be days you ache for them, not because it was good, but because it was familiar. That ache? It's not love. It's withdrawal. You might miss their voice, the feeling of being wanted, even the arguments, because at least those meant connection. You might start romanticizing the few good moments, forgetting how much they cost. This is normal. It doesn't mean you made the wrong choice. It means you're human, and you're detoxing. In those moments, go back to your journal. Call a friend. Read your own words. Remind yourself of the version of you who finally said, "Enough," and say it again. 5. Rebuild your identity. The most beautiful return. One of the cruelest things a toxic relationship steals is not just your peace, but your sense of self. You forget what you love. You forget who you are without them. You shrink to fit the version of you they allowed. Now is the time to expand again, to reclaim space, to be big, to be loud, to be strange and joyful and fully wildly yourself. What did you love before them? Painting, running, singing, quiet mornings with coffee and a book? Go there, even if it feels awkward, even if you don't recognize yourself at first. You're not starting over. You're coming home. Join communities of people who've walked this same path. Their stories will remind you, you are not alone. And more importantly, you are not broken. You are rebuilding. You are becoming. 6. Practice radical self-compassion, especially on the hard days. There will be days you feel like you're drowning, days you're angry at yourself for ever loving them, days you question every decision you made. Please be gentle. Healing is not a straight line. Some days will be spirals, some days will be stillness, but each one moves you forward even when you can't feel it. Care for your body. Nourish it. Rest it. Move it when you can. Care for your mind. Speak kindly to it. Create space for silence, for art, for breath. Care for your heart. Let it mourn. Let it rage. Let it soften again, one beat at a time. And when the voice comes, why did I stay? Answer it with love. Because I believed in them. Because I believed in love. Because I am human. There is no shame in loyalty. Only courage in choosing to leave. You didn't stay because you were weak. You stayed because you were trying to survive, and now you're choosing to live. The psychology that once kept you trapped, now it frees you. Because knowledge isn't just power. It's a map, a mirror, a compass home. You are not trapped. You are not broken. You are free. And the story you write from here will be the most honest one you've ever told. If this video stirred something within you, pause, breathe, reflect. You are not alone. At Tiptop Tidbits, we don't offer quick answers. We explore deeper truths. Because true healing doesn't begin with fixing, it begins with understanding. If this spoke to you, subscribe, share, and stay with us. There is more to uncover. And sometimes the greatest rediscovery is the one where you return to yourself.